One. Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I'm honored to be hanging out with a cool guy, and he's got a great story for us and really some good information about our business and how to look at growth in kind of a different way today. So, I'm just going to ask the question, and you get to answer it for yourself. As far as how important are associations in your business. And I want to unpack this today because I know for myself, being in the construction industry my whole life, that these types of association connections made the difference between success and failure in our businesses. And so I want to unpack that today. So I'm honored to be hanging out with Cody Nuernberg. How are you today, my friend?
Good, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you are president of BLD Connection. So fill us in on what BLD Connection is.
So, BLD Connection is the regional trade association that represents independently owned and operated lumber yards in effectively the entire Midwest at this point. So, we have everything from we work with lumber dealers and their suppliers everywhere from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. So, roughly 10 states, about 1,700 retail lumber operations, well over 150 of the suppliers, your Marvins, your Andersons, your Blue Lynxes of the world. And our job, hence the name, is to build connection between the dealer side of the industry and the supply side of the industry and provide avenues for both parties to get together, whether it be at our classes, whether it be at our events that I know you're coming to, and just really give them an opportunity to get outside of the office and look at best practices. We certainly keep an eye on their legislative efforts and advocacy work. We do a number of different programs and services and a ton of education, which I'm sure we're going to unpack all of this
Yep.
in a nutshell. But we used to be, just for history, we used to be known as the Northwestern Lumber Association. We were formed in 1890 here in Minnesota and the Dakotas. We had Iowa at the time as well. Northwestern because we were the Northwestern Territories at the time.
Sure.
After 134 years, just this past year, our board, as well as a group of members, came together and said, with the addition now of Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas, which used to be also known as the Mid-America Lumbermen's
Oh,
Association,
okay.
it was time for a change. And I never thought the day would come. I've been here almost 15 years and been asking, why Northwest? Why Northwest? And suddenly it was a board member that finally said, why Northwest? And we really couldn't answer the question. I mean, frankly, the answer was we're northwest of Chicago now. So it took a year plus to work through not only the merger process with NLA and MLA, but then we also then decided it was time to put a new name behind it. So we went with BLD Connection. It stands for Building Material and Lumber Dealer Connection. We took the M out. You can't spell build with an M. To that point, we then are also called Build Connection. We hear that quite a bit. And that's,
Okay.
again, that's effectively what we're here to do. It's our call to action as well to our members to
Sure.
build connection with each other, build
Yep.
connection with the vendor community, build connection with us, and help move this industry forward into the future.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, and I think you keep using the word connection. And so I want to kind of, hone in on that as we start because let's face it, if we want to grow our business, Cody, our goal is to really build our connections. And it's so, I know, like we were talking before I jumped on, for me and our company early on in the construction world, we lived and died by association meetings, the Builders Association, the Remodelers Association, when we were trying desperately to get into new areas. So, do you run into a lot of people that don't really understand or don't see the advantage of an association for their company?
All day, every day is the simplest answer, and that's what makes this a fun thing to do every day. I will be honest and tell you, we carry roughly a 50% penetration rate, which means of all the lumber yards in our region, about half of them are members. The other half are not. And we look at them all the time and we go out and visit with them and we say, Why not? And they've got reasons, some good, some just excuses.
Sure.
But yeah, we run into all the, what's the value? What am I going to get out of this? Certainly there are tangible value. There is tangible value, as in you come to meetings and events and you get to have fun. You get to network with your vendors. You get to meet other dealers and pick each other's brains. That frankly is some of the best parts of our events and,
Yeah.
and in our gatherings. And then you've got the intangible side, the legislative work. If there's not anybody here getting after the feds out in DC or working at a state level that we do now in all 10 states, when needed or just because we want to, you lose if there's nobody there, it's not happening. And
Right.
so that's where your association comes in handy. And that's where the folks that do engage in the association really help move the ball forward is, we're all working together under one voice, one banner. We also partner with other groups, as you mentioned, the remodelers, the home builders.
Yeah.
We're all in the same world that is construction. We're on
Right.
the supply side, they're on the building side, but it all goes hand in hand. And if we are, if with your associations, and I tell all of our non-members this, come connect, come be a part of it, and you'll realize real quick that it was worth the $500 investment to be a member, or the
Yeah.
$150 fee to come to the class or come to the program.
Right.
So yeah, we hear it all the time, Dave. It sucks. I'd love for all of them to be members. We want all of them to be members, and we're
Yeah.
open to all of them being members. But we get it as well. Some people
Sure.
certainly don't see the value. So for some, it's just tough to you're out in way western Nebraska, for example. We do
Sure.
most of our stuff in Lincoln and Omaha. Not that we haven't gone to Grand Island or Kearney, but it's a long ways for them to come and do stuff. Now,
Sure. Sure.
we also look at it from a support perspective. You join an association, frankly, first and foremost, in my opinion, to support your industry. Again, those people working behind the scenes, driving the industry forward. You also join it to then connect and to engage and come and
Yeah.
be a part of things. So.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the research is showing that two-thirds of people join the association for networking purposes. So two out of three of your members right now, Cody, they're number one. And again, you might be different, but if you're like most of the other associations in the country, they're there for that networking piece. So, I don't know where else you can go. And again, each industry is different, but where else you can go where you can get a room full of potential customers, a room full of people that could potentially be a mentor for you, a room full of people that have their finger on the pulse of the industry, like you were talking about. And it really does help keep you away from being that island unto yourself. So, when you ask your members, do you see something overwhelmingly like, yeah, my number one reason is X? Is there one that sticks out when you ask your members that question?
From our end, it's really two. There's two things that the members join for. And number one, frankly, and it's been this way now for the last 7 or 8 years, maybe even 10, is the education.
Okay.
We strive to offer industry specific education, bring in speakers and presenters and teachers that have walked the walk and talked the talk. There are a million great sales presenters and a million great how to run your business presenters. But when
Right.
you've got somebody like yourself who's been in this industry that can stand here and say, I've done this, I've seen
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and I understand what you're saying. There's a connection there, and
Yeah.
that education blossoms and we run with it. The second piece is certainly that networking aspect. It's from my end, it's the funnest part of the job. I love that people come and get educated. I
Sure.
love that we get to go and help a business succeed, whether it be through a program or a service, save somebody money. But in the
Sure.
end, I love going to the shows and going to the events, even our national events, and spending and just kind of sitting in the corner for about 5 minutes and just watching everybody connect and mingle.
Yeah.
That's frankly what drew me to this industry. I grew up in the golf business. Another very connected, you got to connect with people to have a foursome to play golf with and buddies to go
Yeah.
hang with at the golf course. But this industry took that to a whole nother level, and it's
Sure.
what for me got me to stay.
Yeah.
I came to this frankly as a transition from the golf industry to whatever else I was going to do with my life. And it
Yeah.
took me 90 days. And I went, these are some of the coolest, salt of the earth,
Nice.
normal human beings on the face of the planet. They like to get together. They like to talk. They like to share. They love to have a beer or three.
Sure.
And that's my jam. So I
Sure.
was like, all right, I'm in. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's the education and the networking piece that really sets for our members. Certainly, we also hear on the value of their membership is the legislative side. We have a number of members that's all they care about is the fact
Yeah.
that we're out there keeping an eye on OSHA and Department of Labor and fighting on their behalf so that they can just run a business, sell lumber and building materials, work with their contractors, and support their community, which is fantastic.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. I remember back in the day, Cody, when we used to do that business day in Madison, where
Hmm.
you'd go to Madison, Wisconsin, for those of you outside of Wisconsin, we would go and talk to the legislators for the day. And boy, it was so educating. It was so helpful to understand, you're in there trying to push for lower tariffs, or you're trying to push for this and that. And then the group right behind you is trying to push for higher, whatever, opposite of you. So
It
let's
is.
take one of those things that I think is really missed in the association world is how much legislation work actually goes on. So from your perspective, like how are you guys geared for that, and what does that look like?
So we look at it from two different perspectives. We have the national perspective. This is your Department of Labor, everything the federal government is doing, and we
Sure.
are partnered with the National Lumber and Building Material Dealers Association. We as BLD are the member. Our members fall up under us, and they effectively become members themselves. And so we work with NLBMDA on the national side to again keep an eye on OSHA, and when things are coming down we go and we got a voice at the table. We've got a lobbying team at the national level. Our president as well is out there making sure that if we can't change the way that they're thinking out east, which we could sit here for hours and talk about that.
Yep.
If we can't change the way they're thinking, we at least are going to tell them how we feel. And then at the end of the day, we can say we spoke on behalf of ourselves and
Right.
on behalf of our industry. And then at that point, we're going to go to work to make sure that our members know exactly what they do and don't have to do. We've all seen legislative bills, and they talk about them on the news all the time. I mean, they're reams of paper long. No lumber dealer, no accountant, no anybody wants to sit and read
Yeah.
through 1,700 pages. Even the legislators won't sit and read through 1,700 pages. They have people for that.
Yeah.
Or they don't read them at all. Anyways, we take it and try to decipher it down into, okay, member friends and even sometimes non-member friends. This
Sure.
has happened. This has taken place. This is what you need to do. Now we bring it down another level. Now we're into the states. We do not get involved, at least BLD has not, in my time, gotten involved on any municipal
Mhm.
specific stuff. We're not in
Okay.
Madison beating
Sure.
on the doors, of the city hall, but we
Sure.
are in Madison at the state capitol. We're in St. Paul at the state capitol. We're in Jeff City, etc. We are trying to make sure that we're keeping an eye on what's going on at the state level to
Sure.
ensure that
Yep.
if something were to come down, we are there to speak and then protect, if we can, everything that we've that we believe, and cross our fingers at that point and hope that we get through to these guys and
Yeah.
gals. We're blessed here in the Midwest. We have not had a ton of negative legislative action taken against us. Unfortunately, Minnesota is probably the hardest place right now for us, just the way the government's set up here in Minnesota. A lot of labor related issues, and we certainly, again, we go out and speak on behalf of our side of the industry. But
Yeah.
again, what we've really found impact is where we partner with a Housing First Minnesota, our friends over there, or again the Builders Association of Des Moines, or of Iowa, trying to speak on behalf of an industry because ultimately it's happening to us. It's happening to actors, and when I say it, that legislative piece is going to happen to them, and so we're here to protect ourselves, but at the same time we're here to protect the industry as a whole. And so that's from a legislative side, that's where we go with it. We've been involved in lawsuits and we've been involved in various other things,
Sure.
within the states. again, trying to protect. And sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. It's a fun game that we get to play both locally at home and then out
Yeah.
east as well.
Well, and like I said, I'm guessing that's a well, little well-known fact that there's that much work going on at the association level. When we used to go to the Capitol in Madison for to talk about what was going on in the state, a lot of times the legislation, the legislators weren't really aware, of some of the things that we were bringing up. So I'm curious, I feel like the association, if they're doing their job, is actually kind of an informer to the Congress people, to people wherever, whomever will listen, as far as, like impact fees or taxes or any of that stuff. I mean, for us in our industry, Cody, there's so much money that you have to spend just before you even dig a hole for a new house, which obviously then affects how difficult it is to build a house, and is it the difference between buying one, building, or renting. So I'm just curious, do you see a lot of the legislators kind of understanding where we're coming from in the building side, or is that like, are they like, wow, I didn't realize that was going on? I mean, what has your experience been there?
I would say it's a mix, Dave. Certainly we have some of our legislators that they're former construction folks, or they still are construction folks. And so they know, they understand. But the vast majority, frankly, yeah, we are informing. We're giving them our side of the world. They hear from the banks all the time, so they're well in tune with the banks.
Yeah,
They hear from the big retailers, the Targets, the Walmarts of the world. That's who they think retailers are. And from our industry, our side of the construction business, we're retailers too. The credit card swipe fees, the minimum wage hikes, things like that, that impacts us. And frankly, it
yeah,
impacts us even harder than it does to a Walmart or a Target or anybody, a Home Depot, anybody like that. So, because of scale and size. So yes, simple answer to your question is yes, we are here to be an informer. It feels like that's what we do. The vast majority of our work in is informing and enlightening. And then certainly, after the informing piece is following up and making sure that, whether it's us or our members, ensuring that there's a connection there, and then hoping that as bills come about, they remember, hey, I stopped and talked to, Jennifer Leachman at Leachman Lumber in Des Moines, or she came down here and spoke with us at our day at the Capitol. And I remember her. And so then there's a phone call that's made, and okay, if I vote yes, will this impact you? That kind of thing.
yeah,
That's where it is. And unfortunately, as an industry, we don't do the best job of talking about the
sure.
impacts.
No,
Certainly, the impact fees, the city municipal fees is a big discussion right now, just about in every state. Like you say, the cost to even just go to dig the hole, let alone digging the hole and putting the house on top of it, it's crazy. And that's a lot of the chatter that we're hearing right now, and certainly trying to support where we can and not. But yeah, we do spend a lot of time trying to just keep everybody in the loop that we are here as retail businesses. We have contractors that we also want to protect, and we have communities that we want to protect as well. And
sure.
I think,
Yeah,
as we came up with this new name of BLD Connection, our tagline is building a stronger community. And at the end of the day, that's really what it is. We're building a community of dealers. We're building a community as an industry, because we're all it's the old adage from COVID, we're all in this together. Well, that's
yeah.
not never more true when then you start talking legislative work, or really any of this stuff that we do every day. But then last but not least, again, they, as our members and contractors, they're building the communities that they're going to live in, that they support, that they run their business out of, and it's important.
Wow. Well, and I think for me, Cody, the biggest takeaway when I went to Madison and did the stuff in front of other, legislators, I was shocked at how, like, I really felt like I had an impact. I always thought prior to going into that, these guys and girls, congressmen, congresswomen, Senate, whatever, they all had their mind already made up and they were just kind of, giving you their time because they had to, because you voted for them. And then I
Mhm.
started to sit with them and realize that these people actually were asking questions. They didn't understand this or that. And then you started to feel like you did make a difference. So I just want to encourage the listener right now that this is I think, an untapped opportunity for your business to be able to get more involved in that, to kind of control a little bit your industry, control the direction that it goes. I mean, when you leave a state capital, Cody, I gotta believe you're feeling pretty energized, pretty excited, like, man, I really made a difference today. And I'm just curious if that's kind of how the outcome is for you.
I would say 9 times out of 10, yeah. I mean, there's days we walk out deflated because
Yeah.
it's fallen on deaf ears. But to your point, Dave, I think for any business, anybody that's listening to this, you'd be amazed at what a email or a phone call to, whether it's your local legislator, your national legislator, your city council member, with an invitation to stop by for a cup of coffee. They will come. They will come visit because you're a business in their community.
Yeah.
You're helping fund their tax dollars. You're helping build their community and pay and build that school that they all pushed for, things like that. That 15 minutes, it doesn't even have to be that. We've
Yeah.
had some that come in and they drop by for 5, but the connection's there and they
Sure.
will not forget. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, we encourage everybody. We don't do enough of it ourselves at the association level, and we're certainly trying to do more, but you
Sure.
know, get in front of your legislators, remind them who you are and why you exist. And the biggest thing there, don't try to pick a fight with them. You may not agree with them, but don't pick a fight. I have to give that
Right.
speech every year when we go out to DC. Yes, you're going to
Yeah.
walk into some offices that don't agree with us. Let's not fight, but let's
Yeah.
let's explain what's going on here. So,
Right.
and again, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people listening outside of the US right now, so we don't know your, layout. So it might not be feasible for you to just go walk into your local government office. So take what we're saying, and apply it to your country, apply it to your industry, and hopefully you can see, a difference being made out of the actions that you've done. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Cody, I want to kind of go through why somebody would want to join, because there's some kind of fun stuff in there that, again, I think people miss. Obviously, we talked about education, we talked about networking, and we talked about the government side, but there's some others. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Honored to be hanging out with Cody Nuernberg, the president of BLD Connection. 1830. That's crazy. So what do you think?
1890.
Or 1890. What? Sorry, yeah, nine is the three. Nine. There you go. What do you think it even looked like in 1890? That must have been crazy to see an
You know,
association meeting in
we've got
1890.
we've got pictures,
Oh my
and I mean
gosh.
suits and top hats and horse and buggy.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
that's what it was. It was pretty fun to look at.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I did some, again, I thought of what would work for me, why I would join the association. I did some research, and again, networking showed up a lot. Another one that was showing up a lot was actually like just similar to education, but a little bit different, was the professional development side. And I feel like a lot of listeners right now, we as entrepreneurs and business owners, we tend to forget about that, and it's crazy because, doctors have to stay certified, all this certification goes on, all this education, all this professional development. So I know that you guys have, I call it a traveling roadshow because I love that connection for me, where you guys go to different states and you spend your energy trying to educate that group. So is that, from an education standpoint, we know that that's really important. From the personal development side, I feel like that they kind of go hand in hand, but they're a little bit different. And I'm just curious, like on your end, if professional development, if you hear from a lot of your members, if that's something that's high on their list as well.
as I said earlier, it's number one on most of their lists. We pride ourselves not only on our in-person education, we try to dig into as many areas of the business, of the lumber business, as we can. So we effectively look at it from three perspectives. You've got your operations side, which is the yard aspect, delivery, safety, OSHA, DOT, etc. And we try to put programming together, whether it be in person or online, to further the knowledge and essentially and hopefully the careers of those individuals working in that space of the yard. We've then got the sales aspect, and we do estimating training 10, 12 times a year throughout our region. We've got one of the best estimating instructors in the country who goes around on our behalf for 2 or 3 days and talks about, teaches people how to estimate. Yes, there are softwares out there that can do it for you, but you really truly have to know how to do it before, on paper, before you can just go plug a bunch of numbers in. And so we do a lot of those types of programs. We have sales training. And then last but not least, we've got the administrative side. So the folks in the back office, learning, you've got up and comers that maybe understand financials, but not at the level they need to move to the next level of their career. So we have some programming that involves, how to read a P&L and, the areas to watch in your business where your finances can go askew real quick if you're not keeping an eye on them.
Yeah.
Again, we do all of this both in person and virtually, and then we supplement it, frankly, with our traveling road show or the BizCons that I know you're coming to here shortly. We do a BizCon up in Minnesota here, just north of the Minneapolis area. And we're doing another one down in Altoona, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines. And then we still have our event in Wisconsin and Nebraska. And next year we'll be adding one down in the Kansas City market with our new friends down south. But all of those events are built for not only the networking, that's probably the primary reason for those, but they're supplemented with educational opportunities. So we're gonna have some breakout sessions, and it's all about professional development. Unfortunately, as you've kind of alluded to in this industry, owners, managers, they know it all. They don't have the
Yeah.
time to share it all. And so in a lot of cases, you're better off sending them out. You hire a young up and comer right out of school, maybe has a little understanding, but doesn't know what's next. And so we've got a lot of the opportunities, and many of our peers around the country do the same. We pride ourselves on making sure that we're building the next future of this industry. I've got 25 years left to go, and I expect to see some of these whippersnappers today that are in our classes. Their kids are going to be coming through, and it excites me.
Wow.
There's a ton of knowledge to be shared. We sometimes don't do the best job of it. I don't care what industry it is.
Sure.
It's tough to tell everybody, how this job's going to work and that professional sharing. And so, yeah, that's where we spend a lot of our time is in that educational space. The last one I'll throw in, Dave, and I know you got a pile of questions, but is roundtables. Roundtables has become a huge thing for our association and our members. These are peer-to-peer groups led by an industry expert facilitator type that are going to, you go sit in a room for 2 days, and some of them are very pointed. This session, we're going to talk all about your financials and look at ways to help each other improve our financial standing, margins, things like that. A lot of them are what we like to call the potpourri sessions, where we're going to spend an hour talking financials. Then we're going to spend an hour talking about HR. And then somebody's got a question on, sales and what salespeople are to be paid these days. And they've become one of the greater professional development values that we are able to to provide.
Sure.
And one it continues to grow. Like you said, people like to learn from other people. Great, you can sit up and listen to a speaker, and we love to. But at the end of the day, when they can sit there and talk to each other, you own a lumberyard, I own a lumberyard, and we can sit here and you might be in Arkansas and I might be in Minnesota. We're still dealing with the same issues. Where do we find people? Why does OSHA keep knocking on our door? All these various things. And it, like you said earlier in our conversation, it takes away that I'm on an island by myself, thought process. I'm not out here alone. There are, again, in BLD country, 1,700 other people just like you fighting the same battles. So
Wow. That's a lot of members. Well, and I think it's important to point out just for the listener that generally are not in the same geographic location when you are on that roundtable, because I know
Correct.
if I partook in some of those over the years, not with your group, but with others. And boy, I tell you what, nothing quiets a crowd down more than realizing that your competitor's sitting right next to you. And then somebody asks a question and you got a great answer, but your last thing you're going to do is divulge that to your competitor right down the street. So the success on the peer-to-peer roundtables is obviously from non-competing markets. So
Correct.
I think that's so powerful. But think about that: operations, sales, and admin. Those are three powerful the three powers in our company. And I just for 2025, which we're in now, I'm looking at this new word that's showing up, and it's called upskill, where actually, and the research that we're doing, and we're seeing that 52% of workers acknowledge the need to acquire new skills in 2025 to sustain their career. It's not even to move forward, it's just half of our team, and this is for the business owner listening, half of your team thinks that they need to get education and training just to maintain status quo. That's not to leapfrog. That's not to move up the ladder. That's not to, improve. That's just to maintain. So, what a great place finding that association that your industry provides. And I was going to ask this, and maybe you don't know the answer, but I got to believe that the vast majority of industries have an association. Would you agree with that?
There is an association for everything. You might have to look a little bit, but yes,
Yeah,
there is an association for every industry, or one that will encompass your industry. And I strongly, thank you for the plug. I strongly encourage people to get involved. The investment is certainly is financial, but typically not out of question, out of the norm.
yeah.
But the value is definitely there. Certainly if you engage, and that's the word we use all the time is engage.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that's the key right there, because whether you're on a chamber of commerce, whether you're in an association, whatever kind of board, volunteer spot, whatever you join a group, if you're not going to be involved in those, and I know over the years I always laugh because in various spots I've been in leadership on some of these, and people will join. Let's say you have a membership drive and you join, and then a year later they don't rejoin, and you find out why. Well, nothing, I didn't gain any value is kind of like the number one reason. And my question is always, well, how much did you put in? And do you see a lot of people, Cody, that just think, hey, I'm going to sign up I'm going to join, BLD and then BLD Connect, and then I'm just going to like sit back and wait for the phone to ring. And, my sales are going to skyrocket, my costs are going to go down, and my team's going to be ultra engaged. I mean, do you run into people still that think that way?
There are certainly some that's the mindset, and we try. Certainly our number one job is to be a resource to our members, and so with
Sure,
every week we send out a weekly newsletter, and it's got some business advice in it. It has certainly reminders about our upcoming events and programs. We have a monthly newsletter that also focuses on bigger industry topics and things that are taking place. So we feel like you're with those things, you're getting value because we're taking all the stuff that's thrown into MSN and CNN and ABC, et cetera, and trying to put them into one place so that once a month I can get an email and
yeah,
read through this and kind of have a pretty good pulse of what's going on in the industry. But yes, you have to, you join a group like this. There's a way to get engaged, and again, whether it's a program or a service that this group might offer, from our end, we offer an insurance partnership for property, casualty, life, disability insurance. You get a better look, shall we say, if you are a BLD member with this insurance provider.
sure,
We have credit card processing programs that will, frankly, I think that we've got the best rates in town, and we will go nose to nose with just about anybody and
sure,
and win. So then there's that financial savings that can be had and the
right,
value that's there. But
yeah,
then, yeah, to your point, go to something.
yeah,
That I think is the missed piece by a lot of association members is Yeah, I get my emails, I get my magazine, I get the stuff, and I might have joined a program, but you gotta go to something.
Yeah.
You go to the golf outing. Even if you don't golf, you'll have a blast for 5, 6 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Come to the traveling road show, even if it's for an hour, and see what your membership investment is doing for you. And at the same time, at least from our association, I know a lot of associations are built very similar. We effectively have two different members. We have the retail dealer member and then the supplier member. Well, the suppliers want to see the dealers. The dealers need to want and should go see their suppliers. And
Sure.
if that
Yeah.
happens, these events blow up and they blossom.
Yeah.
We've seen some great growth here over the last couple of years with our outings. We're back out of the COVID era now. People are back out and about, and
Yeah.
so our golf outings have taken off again because everybody just wants to get together and have a day away, and yet it's still work. You're seeing your lumber vendor, you're seeing your window vendor, you're seeing your insurance agent there.
Right.
You can check it off as a day of work because it was work. You're going to talk and learn, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you're going to go play golf or you're going to go
Yeah.
fish or
Absolutely.
whatever it is. So.
Well, I gotta believe most memberships are under $1,000 for every association nationwide. So we'll just use that $1,000 as kind of a threshold. I mean, if you can't get $1,000 worth of value out of it, I feel like you didn't work very hard at it.
Correct.
Again, if you can't sell one more project, if you can't learn about one more person, if you can't make one more connection, maybe it's the advocate for your industry. Maybe it's, maybe you want to recruit somebody. Again, we don't necessarily encourage you to walk around recruiting. The reality is that it does happen. And there's just, you create your own list of reasons why you join. And I've never seen in my 30 years of being involved in an association, I've never seen somebody join, get active, and then say, oh my gosh, this didn't pay. And that's where I feel like there's three real levels. There's joining and doing nothing, which generally tends to burn out after the first year. Then there's joining and getting involved, like you said, at the association events and things like that. And then there's this third piece that I just want to touch on before we land the plane today, where you're actually engaging, like giving back, where you're volunteering, where you're joining a committee, where you're actually, positioning yourself as an industry leader in that. And I know, again, for myself, when I did that, boy, that's when everything just really took off. It's one thing to join, it's another thing to be at the golf outing. Both are good. That third piece, though, really felt for me like the sweet spot where I would jump on a committee, I would volunteer some of my time. There was just that next level. And so, speak to the listener for that, Cody, as we start to land the plane today.
You nailed it dead on. My adage has always been it's like joining, it's like the gym, joining your local gym. You can join the gym, pay the membership fees and the monthly fees and never go. Yeah, you're a member of the gym, but you're getting nothing for it. You got to go to the gym. And then you start taking a class and you get deeper and deeper in. And that's when you realize the $100 a month for the gym membership is nothing.
Right.
On our level, yes, it's the things you've lined out, and then there's that volunteer aspect. I've got a staff of 7 and 8, including myself, who do this every day. We wake up 5 days, sometimes 7 days a week, and live and breathe and eat and sleep everything our association does for our members. But what really drives us forward is those volunteer leaders. I've got 6 boards that I work with and report to. We
Yep.
have our main board, along with 5 sub-association boards, state and regional boards that really dive deeper on the state level. And then we've got a number of committees, whether it be our membership committee, whether it be our education committee. And really, those are the individuals that guide us as the staff to tell us what is needed for the industry. We'll take
Yeah.
the education committee, for example. They're the ones that sit there and say, at our store, we need this. And suddenly, Dave, you're on the committee and you say, we're looking for some more intel, more training on interior decorating. Well, hot darn, everybody starts jumping up. We do too, we
Yeah.
do too. And
Yep.
next thing you know, we put it in the education survey that we do once or twice a year, asking for ideas on classes. And imagine that. There's a lot of people that would love an interior decorating session or
Right.
class or whatever, because that's, our businesses are becoming full service. It's not just selling 2x4s and OSB anymore. You're having to sell the windows, the window treatments, the
Yep.
flooring, the countertops, the cabinets. So it's a full sale now. And you got to understand it all. There's folks in the business that just understand the structural piece. And then we pass them on to the individual, male or female, that's going to be in the design department to make Mr. or Mrs. Smith's dream come true with their kitchen. So, committee work, getting involved at the committee level, even, again, show up at the golf outing, ask where you can help. You may not be on
Yeah.
the committee or the board, ask where
Sure.
you can help.
Yeah.
We're always looking for the help and support of our members. And then once you do get involved, it's rewarding. It's very,
Yeah.
very rewarding. I've served on a number of boards outside of our association. Sometimes done a good job, sometimes not because of the schedule, but it's rewarding to see that organization move forward. And ultimately, with that engagement, not only do we get to put together new and exciting things, but it also keeps the expense of that membership fee down.
Yeah.
The more people we have marching in the same direction, we're not wasting resources trying to do the same old thing all over again. So yeah, there's a lot of value there, Dave. And again, I would encourage anybody, to be volunteering. I know everybody's busy. Business is busy, personal lives are busy. Kids are running around all over the place.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, you're talking an hour to 90 minutes a quarter. You can afford it.
Right.
And come spend some time.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you're in the business development area, if you're trying to grow your business, you will spend way more time trying to grow your business outside of your association than if you jump in and insert yourself into that 90-minute slot. Because again, and I'm just sharing it from personal experience. My number one business growth over my his career when I owned my construction supply company, Cody, was getting involved at the association level because you're sitting with your customers, you're sitting with your prospects. And at first, I said to myself, I'm going to this and I'm going to do 18 months of not saying a word in the sense of I'm not going to tell anybody what I'm doing. I'm going to give back as much as I can. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to donate as much as I can, but I'm not going to be like, hey, you guys, this is what I do, right? And
Yep.
after about, 8, 10 months of not saying anything, people are like, so what do you do? They started to get curious, and boy, our sales just took off when there was that connection. So if you're only looking to join an association purely for business growth, I don't think there's a right or wrong to any of these. That's got to be one of the best things that you can do is do that volunteering. Again, maybe you want to stay up to date, maybe you want a professional development, maybe you want to be an advocate for your industry, whatever it is. I think that the association is at the core of your business. And if you're not, if you're listening now and you're not part of an association, I just want to challenge you to really take heart. And if you're in the Midwest and you're not part of BLD Connect, I think that that's just a BLD connection. I really think that that's a great spot for lumber yards and suppliers to be. So I appreciate what you're doing. And two questions before I let you go. What would your tip of the day be, Cody, for somebody listening? Maybe it's something that we covered, maybe it's not, but what would your tip of the day be today?
I think we said it earlier. It's be active, engage. Again, take 15 minutes a day or an hour a week and engage in something outside of the norm. Push away from the computer, push away from the Teams meetings, and engage in something. Whether that's walking around your office and just shaking hands with your colleagues and asking how their family's doing,
Yeah.
down to again, join an association and get involved. Again, help out at your child's dance studio or with their hockey program or soccer or whatever it is. Just, we all have the excuse of we're so busy, 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 busy. But if you take that time, it is very, very rewarding. And to your point from just a second ago, it does pay off. It may pay off from the business perspective, or it will pay off on the personal side. And sometimes it pays off for both.
Yeah. It took Cody 40 some minutes before he said hockey. So normally these guys up there in Minnesota, man, that's like the first word out of their mouth. So
The
I'm
state
I'm
of
shocked.
hockey, buddy.
I'm shocked. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've been to War Road, Minnesota at Marvin, watching the Marvin family play hockey, and oh my gosh, it's like a cult up there. It's crazy. I love it,
It's a
you know.
lifestyle here up in the northern Midwest, that's for sure. I've got a 7-year-old boy that's deep into it and eat, sleep, and breathe hockey pucks.
So at 7, is he thinking NHL for himself? Does he have that? Is that like
I
on his
think they
radar?
all are at this
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the next Kirill Kaprizov or Mario Lemieux or whoever the
Yeah.
player of the week is. And let's be honest,
Nice.
Steve, we were doing the same thing. I was running
Yeah.
around the backyard throwing a football, going, "I'm the next Troy Aikman," and here I
Yeah.
sit running a lumber association, and I'm happy as a clam.
Absolutely. That's so cool. So, hey, Cody, if somebody wants to learn more about BLD Connection or they want to connect with you, maybe they have some questions about their association involvement or how they can get involved at your associations, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Best place is to obviously come to our website, www.bldconnection.org. Bob, Larry, David connection.org. Everything we do is right there on the website. Our staff page is right there. You can connect with myself or any of our team, learn more. We love the little 5 minute, 10 minute conversations about who we are, what we do, and how can you get involved. So that's certainly the easiest way. Feel free to email me, Cody at CODY at BLDconnection.org. Dave, I don't know if you're going to have a post screen after this, but
Yep.
certainly feel free to share that with everybody. And,
Awesome.
and if you're outside of our region, please feel free to still connect with me. We're friends with all of our colleagues. There are 11 other state and regional associations just like BLD across the United States, along with our national association. So we'll point you in the right direction, get you in touch with the right people, and we're happy to help wherever we can.
And what were the letters for the national one again, Cody?
NLBMDA. It's really fun if you sing it. NLBMDA. That's how I was taught to do it. But that's the National Lumber and Building Material Dealers Association. And again, as a dealer, you'll go through your state and regional association to become a member. As a vendor, supplier, they do have direct memberships through their Manufacturers and Services Council. So yeah, lots of opportunities there to get involved and join. But please, on behalf of myself, my colleagues, certainly our team and our members and our volunteer leaders, opportunities are there. We need everybody, at least from our industry, to get involved. The more we have, the louder our voice, the more we can do together. We're not out here alone. We're all doing this thing together.
Yeah.
So please get active, get involved.
Wow, that's awesome. And if you're in his area and you're not involved, you can't get mad at them. You can't get mad at the legislators. You can't get mad at anybody because you're not doing anything to be part of the solution. So,
It's like they
um,
say, if you don't vote, you can't complain.
right,
Same
exactly. Yep.
concept.
Yep, exactly. Cody, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us and to help us understand an opportunity, an interesting angle on business growth, on personal development, on just how to do a better job of being the best company that you can be. So I can't wait to see you at BizCons, and we're excited to be talking this year in again. I wish though that we could do these in Hawaii. I don't know why you make me come up there in the middle of the stinking winter in Iowa and Minnesota. So I'm just going to put my vote in for Honolulu for next year. Okay.
We'll certainly listen to all votes, take all recommendations, but we do believe that coming to these places in the wintertime, January in St. Cloud, Minnesota, it puts a little hair on your chest. It'll test your metal a little bit. So
Just what I need. Oh my gosh. I spent
yeah,
my whole life living in Wisconsin. So you know what, Cody, I'm coming in shorts just to kind of buck the system.
sure. I
So
love the shirt you got on right now. It'd be perfect.
exactly. That'll be awesome in January. Well, thank you again, Cody, so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.